Hello and welcome to the new Parkside impact driver, now made by OWIM tools. From the outside, it looks mostly like the C3 that came before it. The C3 was made by Grizzly. This, as I said, is made by OWIM. It's got 4 mode settings down here, and even more mode settings if you're using a smart battery and go into the app. Unlike the C3, the collet here I find ergonomically disgusting, and I'll show you why. You can't just insert a bit, you need to insert the bit and pull the collet back. Before we continue, if you have enjoyed the content so far, you would really help the channel out if you like the video, subscribe to the channel and leave a comment down below. Some of you want to know how these things go at their lowest setting and their lowest possible speed. So let's check that. This is mode 1 and this is their lowest possible speed. It hasn't got the most sensitive trigger, as you can see. But in any case, if you want a sensitive trigger, go for one of these. This is one of my favorite tools. This is the impact driver into an impact wrench conversion, B3 version. Now what happens with this is when you pull the trigger, the RPMs drop after a couple of seconds. That does not happen with the D3. Now, they have somewhat changed the construction of this. The question is, have they improved it? I think the best thing Parkside could have done is to combine the mechanics from the old B3 version with the electronics from the newer C3 version. So hopefully this new D3 model combines the best of both worlds. But knowing Parkside, it's probably going to be the other way around. So let's find out. In terms of testing, we've got the impact driver itself, a 4 amp battery and an 8 amp battery. Both of these are fully charged. First up, let's have a look at all the modes that they give you. And I'm only going to have a look at the included modes. I've said it already and I'll say it again, I'm not a fan of connecting tools to apps. What I want to do next is see how it performs on mode 4 with the 4 amp and with the 8 amp batteries. First up, 6x100 screws. 6x200 millimeters. Next up, 8x100. 8x200. Now let's go for something bigger, and I'll tell you, so far something very interesting is happening. I think the impact mechanism in here is skipping. That is to say that it's just jumping around on the anvil, not managing to hit every single turn. Now this is a M8x200 with the 8 amp battery. I think it's going to be interesting comparing that against my converted B3 with the 4 amp, again on its max setting. You know, I am feeling a bit odd today. So let's try and stick this into the new D3 and see what happens. If you want to know how loud the impact mechanism is, it is quite loud. This is not the ideal use for one of these tools. However, in the name of science,
yes, science!
Let's tighten a wheel bolt to 200 Newton meters and see how it does. Highest mode, which is mode 4, and the 8 amp battery to give it the best chance possible. Not bad. Now we find ourselves in a very interesting situation. Do I think this thing has enough power? It definitely does. More than enough power for your DIY needs. Do I think it's better than the B3? I honestly don't know. OWIM are not the worst quality tools. However, I've had some comments on the channel saying that they have had problems with their impact drivers. So only time will tell. But I think that there is a chance that this thing is better built than the older C3 it replaces. But the skipping action when impacting, that's very interesting. Unlike some of the newer Parkside tools, I cannot complain because of a lack of grease. So this is what I was talking about earlier. This is the front casing of the B3 and C3, and this is what the new D4 has. They come apart in entirely different ways. Now this is the impact mechanism from the D3. And I can quite easily compress the spring with my hands. This, on the other hand, is the impact mechanism from my B3. And as you can see, I find it really difficult to compress the spring. What I think they've done is, in order to increase the lifespan of the tool, they've put a thinner spring on the impact mechanism. And that thinner spring, I think that causes the sort of skipping of blows on the anvil. In terms of power, yeah, the RPMs are the same, so the new D3 will have less power. At the moment, I don't have a B3 with a 1/4 inch anvil. I only have one with a 1/2 inch anvil. So I can't do a direct comparison between the B3 or, in fact, the C3, because all of my C3s are broken. And I can't compare any of those against the new D3. However, with what I'm showing you in mind, I'm pretty certain that in terms of max power, the B3 and C3 will be stronger than the new D3. However, in terms of life expectancy, I think that the D3 might actually do quite a lot better than the previous C3. So then, let me know, after watching this video, would you still buy the D3? Or would you be on the lookout for the tried and trusted B3 version?